street illusion.
But first this morning, Hurricane Ike is due to make landfall in Texas around now. Winds of up to 100 miles an hour are expected, and a huge storm surge is threatening low-lying areas.
Yes, thousands of people living in its path have been warned they risk certain death if they stay in their homes.
Forecasters expected Ike's enormous sea swells would leave the island city of Galveston totally underwater. As the storm raged ashore, it seemed their predictions might come true.
The devastation down there already is just unbelievable. It's can't really explain it. Just the water itself is just very high, and houses are starting to deteriorate, fall apart, and just wash away.
Earlier, around 20 miles inland, Ike brought its strength to bear on coastal suburbs of Houston, promising relentless destruction to homes and property, even damaging part of the sturdy hotel we were sheltering in, threatening the whole region. More than 1 million people have fled the Texas coastline in advance of winds of more than 100 miles an hour, battering these shores. Thousands have refused to go, and officials have warned them they could risk death by staying. Some tried to minimise the coming damage before they left in the nick of time. It was like a ghost town in Houston, America's 4th largest city. We found this family rushing to get on the road, pets and possessions stowed wherever they could.
Getting the hell out. Pretty much, basically.
They, like many, have no idea what will be left when they return. Rajesh Merchandani, BBC News in Houston, Texas.
And in the last hour, Rajesh gave us this update from Houston.
We've got very strong winds now, an awful lot of rain, and there's been a huge surge in the sea levels as well. This storm is really reaching its peak, but we've got a way to go yet.
We heard this dramatic warning, Rajesh, that the residents of Galveston risked certain death if they stayed behind. Do we know how many people have decided to hunker down and how many people have decided to leave?
Well, some reports put it as high as 90,000 that were refused or just ignored the mandatory evacuation orders in Galveston and stayed. I talked to some people earlier when the weather was more, when we were able to get down there. We can't get down there now. And a lot of them were saying that they weren't entirely sure that the hurricane would head in their direction. They thought it might veer off on a different track because it's been very haphazard. It's zigzagged across the Caribbean. But also a lot of them talked about Hurricane Rita 3 years ago, which was supposed to be even more fierce than this, but never materialized, except what happened then is that officials ordered more than 2 million people to evacuate, and when they all got on the roads, there was mayhem and 100 people died from the traffic chaos. So a lot of people said, we don't want the same thing to happen again, which is why we are going to bolt everything down, board up our windows, get the provisions in, and stay put. We can't really say what condition Galveston is in at the moment, except forecasters were predicting the entire island would be underwater. And if you look at the conditions, I'd say that's a fair prediction.
Rajesh Merchandani reporting for us this morning. More on that, of course, throughout the morning. Now, the Civil Aviation Authority is trying to arrange emergency flights for around 90,000 holidaymakers left stranded, and XL, Britain's 3rd largest tour operator, went bust. It's the worst failure in